St. Petersburg is the second largest city in Russia. It is located on the Neva River. It is called Venice of the North because of its beauty and great architecture. It was founded by Tsar Peter the Great in 1703. St. Petersburg is Russia's cultural capital. The historic center of St. Petersburg and related monuments constitute a UNESCO World Heritage Site. St. Petersburg is also home to the State Hermitage Museum, one of the largest and oldest art museums in the world. It was founded in 1764 by Catherine the Great. Its collections comprise over 3 million items, including the largest collection of paintings in the world. This fall, journalists from many countries traveled to St. Petersburg to participate in a media forum entitled Dialogue of Cultures that took place in the State Hermitage Museum. Many important personalities were guests and key speakers in this forum.
How do you compare what the coalition has done until now and what Russia has done in those very few months?
Russia started a military battle against terrorism based on a request from Damascus. As you said, 1 year is too long and the coalition hasn't achieved any results yet. In recent months, it was obvious that the coalition doesn't have a common understanding of who the terrorists in Syria and Iraq are. If you conduct an air operation and it's not supported by a land attack, it would be ineffective because these groups simply move from one place to another. The coalition's operations should be based on international law and should get the approval of the Security Council in coordination with Damascus to combat ISIS, because the Syrian Arab Army is fighting this evil on the ground. We have talked for months that attaining progress is possible only by mutual efforts in coordination between the coalition and Damascus. As you know, among the coalition countries who announced war on ISIS, there are countries who give weapons to different groups on the ground that fight the legitimate and official state in Syria. They say that they don't give weapons to terrorists. The problem is that no one can guarantee who would carry these weapons, so theories and shining plans on papers are very far from the reality on the ground. Weapons got to the hands of ISIS either by buying and selling them or by force. We should be logical and understand that armed groups that are said to be moderate become suddenly with ISIS for different reasons, whether ideological or financial, and these groups are constantly on the move. If they say today that they are moderate, we see them tomorrow as part of terrorist organizations.
The young journalists shared their professional experience, talked about their countries, and learned about different cultures.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank Media Congress for inviting us, and I would like to express how happy I am to be here and how proud I am about my country, Syria, but also so sad for what is happening here. Let me tell you a little bit about my country before the war. Syria is the cradle of civilizations. It has always been a land of peace, security, and love. That's why tourists from all over the world used to come to Syria to explore its ancient monuments, taste its delicious food, and get to know its kind and generous people. As most of you know, Syria has been undergoing an ugly crisis since 2011. But it is not a traditional war, like those we have heard about in history. It wants to establish itself in Syria and other countries to be a basis where it can launch from and spread to the world. Just like the impacts that we all heard about that happened in Gabon in France, Paris. This is why friendly countries like Russia are supporting Syria to eradicate it. I see the crisis like a story. First there's the beginning, then come the events to reach the climax in order to find a solution and work towards achieving it. Many Syrians say that we are now in the phase of finding a solution with the help of friendly countries like Russia, who took this decision out of responsibility for the whole world because all countries are in danger. Finally, I pray for peace and security in Syria and the whole world. So you can come and see how beautiful our country is. And I wish to meet in another media forum in Syria soon. I hope. Thank you.
Participants had been formally asked to prepare films about the way they lived in their cities to display them in the forum.
Syria.
The Media Forum is where journalists gather for the 10th time. This time, 400 journalists came from 38 countries. They represent the Eurasian media. And for the first time, we have journalists from Syria, Argentina, and Vietnam. I am very happy that journalists represent different sects and religions. It is very important that the forum takes place in the Hermitage Museum, whose walls hold the cultural heritage of humanity. It has embraced dialogue among cultures of different countries for more than 2 centuries. There are artistic pieces and paintings that represent the cultures of the world's peoples. Media was an important factor in the Syrian crisis. We should know how to tell the true Syrian story in the Western media, because I think there is a fabrication of facts, and this should be changed.
Journalists walked through the Hermitage Museum and took photos of the beautiful paintings. They made a tour in the city and got to know the great civilization of the country. This media forum aimed to promote dialogue among different cultures through the mass media, so that media can change to be a more peaceful means rather than a way of inciting conflicts, so that it can serve a more peaceful world.